In the quiet town of Pietrelcina, Italy, in the late 19th century, a child was born whose life would become a beacon of faith, mystery, and miracles. Known to the world as Padre Pio, this humble Capuchin friar would go on to inspire millions through his piety, spiritual gifts, and unwavering devotion to God. His story is one of profound suffering, deep mystical experiences, and an enduring legacy that continues to touch hearts around the globe. Francesco Forgione, later known as Padre Pio, was born on May 25, 1887, in the small rural village of Pietrelcina, in southern Italy. His parents, Grazio Mario Forgione and Maria Giuseppa Di Nunzio, were poor but deeply religious farmers. From an early age, Francesco exhibited a remarkable devotion to God. He often spoke of seeing angels and experiencing visions of Jesus and Mary. His family noticed his deep piety, as he would spend long hours in prayer even as a young boy. Francesco's desire to become a priest emerged early, but his family struggled to afford the necessary education. Determined to support their son's calling, his father emigrated to the United States to earn money to fund his education. With this sacrifice, Francesco was able to pursue his religious studies. At the age of 15, Francesco entered the Capuchin friary at Moralcone, where he took the name Brother Pio in honor of Saint Pius V. The Capuchins are an offshoot of the Franciscan order, known for their strict adherence to poverty, simplicity, and devotion to prayer. Brother Pio quickly distinguished himself for his humility, ascetic lifestyle, and deep spirituality. However, his path was not without hardship. Shortly after joining the order, Padre Pio began experiencing serious health issues, including frequent fevers and severe stomach problems. Despite these ailments, he continued his studies and was ordained a priest on August 10, 1910, at the age of 23. Shortly after his ordination, Padre Pio's health worsened to the point where he was sent back to his family in Pietrelcina to recover. During this period, he experienced numerous mystical phenomena, including visions, spiritual battles with demonic forces, and intense prayer experiences. He often spoke of invisible wounds that caused him great pain. In 1916, his health stabilized enough for him to be assigned to the Capuchin monastery of San Giovanni Rotondo, a small remote town in the province of Foggia. It was here that Padre Pio would spend the rest of his life, and where his extraordinary spiritual gifts would become widely known. One of the most remarkable aspects of Padre Pio's life was his reception of the Stigmata, the wounds of Christ on his body. On September 20, 1918, while praying after Mass in the choir loft of the church in San Giovanni Rotondo, Padre Pio experienced a vision of a mysterious figure. When the vision ended, he realized he had received wounds in his hands, feet, and side, corresponding to the crucifixion wounds of Jesus Christ. These wounds were painful, visible, and bled regularly, yet they emitted no odor, unlike typical wounds. Despite his efforts to hide them, word of his stigmata spread quickly. Pilgrims from across Italy and eventually from around the world flocked to see the man of the stigmata. The Church, cautious about claims of supernatural phenomena, launched several investigations into Padre Pio's stigmata. Some skeptics accused him of self-infliction or fraud, but medical experts who examined him were baffled. His wounds remained open and uninfected for 50 years, until shortly before his death, when they mysteriously healed without leaving scars. In addition to the stigmata, Padre Pio was known for numerous other spiritual gifts that drew even more attention to his life. Bilocation. Numerous witnesses claimed that Padre Pio was seen in two places at once. For example, during World War II, American pilots reported seeing a figure resembling Padre Pio in the sky, preventing them from bombing San Giovanni Rotondo. Reading of souls. Padre Pio had the uncanny ability to know the sins and secrets of those who came to him for confession. Many penitents reported that he would remind them of sins they had forgotten or neglected to confess, leading to profound spiritual conversions. Prophecy. Padre Pio was said to predict future events accurately. He often foretold personal events in the lives of his spiritual children and even global occurrences, such as political changes and natural disasters. Healing miracles. Countless people claimed to have been healed physically and spiritually through Padre Pio's intercession. Many reported miraculous recoveries from terminal illnesses after receiving his blessing or being prayed for by him. Fragrance of sanctity. People often described a sweet floral fragrance emanating from Padre Pio, especially around his wounds. Despite the widespread attention and fame, Padre Pio remained a humble servant of God. He lived a life marked by prayer, penance, and suffering. His daily routine was grueling, waking before dawn to celebrate Mass, hearing confessions for hours on end, and spending much of his day in prayer and spiritual counseling. Padre Pio often referred to himself as a poor friar who prays. His life was not one of comfort or ease. Alongside his physical sufferings from the stigmata, he endured spiritual and emotional trials. He faced skepticism, criticism, and even restrictions from the church hierarchy. At one point, he was forbidden from publicly celebrating Mass or hearing confessions due to suspicions about his mystical experiences. Yet through it all, Padre Pio remained obedient to the Church, accepting these trials as part of God's plan. His patience and humility in the face of suffering served as a powerful example to his followers. Padre Pio's compassion extended beyond spiritual care. He was deeply concerned with the physical well-being of the sick and the poor. In 1956, he founded the Casa Sollievo della Sofferenza, House for the Relief of Suffering, a modern hospital in San Giovanni Rotondo. The hospital, which continues to operate today, was built to provide high-quality medical care while embodying Christian values of compassion and dignity for all patients. This project demonstrated Padre Pio's belief in the importance of combining faith with action, caring for both the soul and the body. As Padre Pio aged, his health began to deteriorate, but he continued his spiritual duties as much as possible. He often said, "I only want to be a friar who prays." His stigmata, which had been visible for 50 years, mysteriously began to fade in the months leading up to his death. On September 23, 1968, Padre Pio passed away peacefully at the age of 81. His last words were, "Jesu Maria," Jesus Mary, whispered with his final breaths. After his death, thousands of people traveled to San Giovanni Rotondo to pay their respects. His funeral was attended by a massive crowd, a testament to the profound impact he had on people's lives. Padre Pio's legacy did not end with his death. Reports of miracles attributed to his intercession continued to surface, and devotion to him grew worldwide. In 1999, Pope John Paul II, who had personally met Padre Pio decades earlier, beatified him. Just 3 years later, in 2002, he was canonized as a saint, solidifying his place in the annals of Catholic history.